Alright, so looks like we have our next big restriction in Vanguard Zero. So the Japanese side, it hasn't even tweeted it out yet, it's not even on the website yet, but they announced a new restriction, new NERFS. And these NERFS are spicy. So these NERFS will come into effect on June 1st. So you can still play with them until then. And as compensation for these NERFs, we're getting 5 gacha pack tickets. So we're getting 5 packs that... Oh, Trombone Gamer. 9 months already? Whoa, 9-month streak, Trombone Gamer. That's crazy. You can have a really cool DF face. But, so, essentially... Okay, there's a huge text on the reasoning why they're doing this. But first let me talk about the actual nerf. So what they're doing is, due to the results of Rank Fight, the Vanguard Zero Championship, the qualifiers as well as the final tournament, looking at all the data, we have decided to restrict Wingal Brave as well as Wyvern Strike Tejas. And we've changed their skills. So Wingal Brave, his original skill right now is, for the cost of Counterblast 1, when he boosts a blaster and the attack hits, for the cost of Counterblast 1, you can search your deck for any blaster and add it to your hand. So that's the original skill that it has. Rolled Na C with a prime sub. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. And so they changed this to be Counterblast 2 instead of 1, and search your deck for a grade 3 or higher blaster and add it to your hand. So you cannot search grade 2 blasters anymore. No more searching Blaster Blade or Blaster Dark. You have to use basically like Lien to filter, as well as Starcall Trumpeter. And so that's pretty big. And then the other one is Wyvern Strike Tejas. His skill is he can attack the back row on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, and they have made this effect to be Rearguard Circle only, so you can no longer ride it and attack to the back row. So you have to call it and attack to the back row. So this restriction will come into effect on the 1st of June. Now let's have a read. They have a very, very long text on why this happened. So basically, Majesty Lord Blaster, Wingal Brave was added in the March 1st update, and it was used much more in ranked fights. And it basically was like the #1 win rate, #1 usage rate in rank. Furthermore, in the 2020, in the Vanguard Zero Championship that happened on the 10th of May, the win rate was also much higher than other decks as well. So the win rate was much higher on the 10th, and because of these events, because of these statistics, the win rate in ranked as well as in the Vanguard Zero Championship, we've decided to, restrict this. So with the developing team, they want to ensure the fairness of the game, and they decided that the Majesty Lord Blaster deck needs to be modified. So Majesty Lord Blaster deck is strong because it can use Majesty Lord Blaster of having a permanent 2 critical as well as 12k base by using Blaster Dark and Blaster Blade. And Wingal Brave is an important component of that because it can search one of the 3 cards that is necessary. And due to the low cost and flexibility of selecting which cards you want to add, you can basically ensure this skill every game. And it's possible to align get all these cards very easily from an early stage. And because this enables the very high win rate of the Majesty Lord Blaster deck, we've decided to modify the skill of Wingal Brave. So after modification, the Counterblast will be changed from 1 to 2, and it'll be harder to actually search out the effects because of the change to the grade 3s. So basically now, instead of having to be able to search 3 different cards, you can only search Majesty Lord Blaster. It is expected that because of this change, there will be an increased number of Starcall Trumpeter in deck lists in order to search the other 2 types of cards. Next, we shall discuss the adjustment to Wyvern Strike Tejas. The Kagero deck, which uses Wyvern Strike Tejas, has the 2nd highest win rate after Majesty Lord Blaster. However, the difference in the winning rate from Shadow Paladin and Narukami so basically the difference in the win rate between Kagero, Shadow Paladin, and Narukami is small. And therefore, we decided that it's not important to make any nerfs that would greatly affect the deck, because there's a small difference in their win rates. So because of this, we would like to explain why we chose to restrict Tejas. So Tejas has a skill to attack units in the back row without cost, and can easily retire the opponent's first Vanguard. In decks where the first Vanguard is the center of the strategy, the presence of Tejas is a serious threat, and there are cases where the use of the deck is hesitant. Therefore, this is why they restricted Amber as well. Amber basically made it so that decks are unplayable, because they would be afraid of Amber. And so Tejas also does this thing where he makes people not want to bring decks that rely on their starter. So like Girl Across the Gap, for example, is a really great example. And so from this, it's considered that the diversity of decks will actually increase due to the Tejas modification. And so now after the change, the skill will only be effective on the rearguard circle, so therefore you cannot attack behind the Vanguard circle, where the first Vanguard is very important. And so now you can now call the first Vanguard safely in the middle back row without being afraid of Tejas. As usual, the Kagero deck can also retire the opponent's first Vanguard by paying a certain amount of cost for cards other than Tejas, such as Berserk Dragon. So therefore, basically they're saying if you're good at the game, you won't give your opponent 2 damage to retire your starter. But if your opponent's bad, they deserve to be punished. That's kind of what they're saying. In addition to the above 2 points, there are some other cards that we have received feedback from, but I've excluded them from the targeted modification in viewing the winning rate data. We will continue to look closely at those cards, and if we judge that they should not be overlooked, we will perform another skill adjustment. That is really, really interesting. This is a very long explanation, but it's very in-depth, and I like it a lot. That is very, very interesting. Heat Nail for CB1, retire 1 and 0. No. Heat Nail is fine as it is. Heat Nail can only retire grade 1. Heat Nail only retires grade 1. He does not retire grade 0s. So your starters are safe. This is a really good restriction. Like, this basically... I don't think Global will get these. I think Global will probably release Wingal Brave as it is. We'll find out on June 1st. I don't think they're going to nerf it in Global right away. I don't think so. I think they're going to let it stay strong and then nerf it 2 months later. Because MLB dominated Japanese for March, April, and May. 3 months of the same deck. And they know that if they keep it alive, they knew that if they keep Majesty Lord Blaster to be this strong for another, for another season, it's just shutting down decks. So, let's look at the cards, of course, let's look at the cards that actually got restricted. Majesty Lord Blaster and Tejas. I mean, not Majesty Lord Blaster, but Wingal Brave, so... yeah. This basically gives a buff to Limit Break decks. They'll be able to actually survive now. But yeah, Majesty Lord Blaster, you treated me well. I got top 50 with you. Wingal Brave, you were a good dog. But this had to happen. This had to happen. Majesty Lord Blaster would stay the best. Majesty Lord Blaster would have stayed the best at this rate. And so this is a very important restriction. I think that the deck will still be played a little bit, but nowhere near as much. You basically have to take out your Bedivirs, play more Starkle, and play more Lian actually, right? You have to play more Lian to just filter into your blasters. You have no other choice. Can you give us a game where you pretend the nerfs already happened? We can do that next stream. Yeah. Those are some good nerfs. As for Kagero, how will the deck change? Let's take a look. So, basically, you're going to be dropping Tejas, which was a 4 of until now because you could snipe Wingal Braves and stuff. And so you're going to probably play more Burning Horns and Nahalims, or Strikens. That's basically it. Kagero doesn't change that much. Kagero's okay. Yeah, you can replace it with Striken, with Nahalim. You have quite a lot of options. But yeah, Dot also had a high win rate because it was a counter to MLB, so maybe they'll unrestricted at some point. But I think the Tejas one is not so much because of its win rate, but it's more because they feel that it makes the game less diverse, which makes sense. So, that makes sense. What do I think will be the best decks after this? So, assuming that after this, we're going to get Great Dayusha, probably Coral, as well as Pacifica Crossride, as well as Aquaforce. DP will become the next, deck that can do MLB threat. But thing is, the threat of MLB is that it can get its pieces easily. Dayusha doesn't plus that much, outside of Die Brave. So it's basically going to be, it'll have the crit pressure. But I think the best decks will be Golds and Narukami, and then Kagero. I feel like it's going to be Golds. I think it's going to be just pure Azel. Azel Pelennor or Azel Duke. Shadows. Shadows will be very good, for sure. Yeah, this is my Vortimer Shadows, but Shadows will be definitely very good. That goes without saying. What else do I think will be good? OTT will come back, I think, because now they don't get killed. The thing is, by getting rid of MLB from the meta, you enable a lot of other decks to also shine because now they don't die as fast. For those of you tuning in just now, Majesty Lord Blaster basically got Majesty Lord Blaster and the End received nerfs. So Wingal Brave now costs Counterblast 2 and can only search grade 3 blasters, and Tejas can no longer use his skill on Vanguard Circle, so only on Rearguard Circle. So yeah, so Tejas can only use his effect on Rearguard Circle. So yeah, I think a lot of decks, due to now the game potentially slowing down, because of the MLB nerf. How far will MLB drop in tier list? I'd say tier 2. What I was thinking is that they would wait until Jewel Knights come in. But I'm assuming they're just going to be like, okay, if you want to play Royals, you're going to have to play Scuffed MLB, and you have no choice. Now, MLB did do a lot wrong. MLB really did need to get restricted. There was no way. If they want to make break rides, MLB can't exist. Like, yeah. Dotto tweeted about Tejas. Let's see what the Japanese top players are saying about Tejas. I'm sure they're saying some important things. He's like, oh, it got nerfed? So, what's tier 1 now? I would say Narukami, Kagero, Shadows, Gold Paladin. Like, literally, if you take my last tier list, erase MLB, move everything up. That's what it looks like right now. I don't think this will be implemented into English immediately. Namuru tweeted, "Our Wingal Brave!" He's like, no, not our Wingal Brave. Goodbye. Like, one of the other big players is like, goodbye, my heaven. Everyone's reacting to the Wingal Brave nerf. Is it gonna be tier 2 or bottom tier 1? We don't know yet. It might actually be okay. It's just gonna be more high rolly. Like, if you high roll and draw all your pieces, you win. MLB will be high rolly. MLB will be high rolly, but it will not be bad, I think. Just because of that. It's pretty ironic because the MLB special set came out in Standard today. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting. It really is going to be a high roll deck. That's weird. But that's what it is. So I think maybe it will actually survive. So I think it's going to be tricky. Like, MLB will survive purely because it can high roll. It can high roll into victory. It will be more healthy. It's going to be interesting. I'm really interested to see how this will affect the meta, but I think it's going to be literally just tier 2 moves up, MLB falls down. But MLB will survive, but I'm just interested if people will even use Wingal Brave anymore. Because, like, what you could use instead of Wingal Brave is the grade 3 searcher, maybe. Or you just keep using Wingal Brave. But Countless 2 is way too much.